Happy Friday, and welcome to my first video blog. So first off, I haven't had that many food videos, and for that I apologize. Just haven't been feeling motivated to do so. But there's good news. We'll be trying an all-you-can-eat sushi place on Monday that I've never been to before. So yeah, I'll let you know how that is. The other thing I wanted to talk about, someone on the Giulia forums who saw my last video from the autocross, they had a good question for me. And what this person wanted to know was, what was the transition like moving from my 981 Cayman S to this, a Giulia Quadrifoglio. Well, they're two obviously very different cars, and if they weren't obvious, let me throw some numbers at you. So my 981 Cayman had 325 horsepower at, I think peak power was pretty close to the red line at over 7,000 RPM. So you had to rev the crap out of it to get all the power. And it's not that it didn't have enough power, but it's definitely not torquey like a turbocharged engine, right? And torque was, I think, 275 at about, I think, 4,000 RPM. But anyway, you had to rev it out to get the most out of it. Despite that, it weighed around 3,000 pounds, which is not bad. Oh crap, here comes the traffic. Yeah, so the Cayman, obviously a lot lighter than the Giulia at around 3,000 pounds. The Giulia Quadrifoglio, on the other hand, weighs about 3,800 pounds, so about 700 to 800 pounds in addition compared to the Cayman. And of course, it makes power a lot differently because it's twin turbocharged. It makes 500 horsepower and about 440 foot-pounds of torque. It's actually, the way it makes its power is not as aggressive as, say, an F80 M3. It's more linear and progressive than that. So you also have to wind it out a little bit more compared to an F80 M3 to get all the power, because it's towards the top of the rev range. So the biggest thing that you notice off the bat transitioning from a 981 Cayman is the weight, especially under heavy braking. You know, with the engine in the front of the car, obviously it's very nose heavy. So that's the first thing that I noticed right away. The second thing that I noticed, even though the Cayman is, it's a traditional sports car, you expect it to react very quickly, which it does compared to most cars. But the steering on the Giulia Quadrifoglio is way quicker to react. It has a much faster steering rack, from what I could tell. You really notice it when you're changing lanes. You might anticipate a certain amount of steering angle compared, or if you're used to a 981 Cayman, you may have anticipated a certain amount of input when changing lanes. You're going to end up putting in a lot more input than you need when changing lanes in a Giulia Quadrifoglio. Okay, sorry about that. Where was I? I think I was about to talk about how well the Cayman rotates around the seat of the car. It's extremely well balanced, and with the majority of the weight just behind the driver, it has a very low polar moment of inertia, meaning it has less weight to turn on the very far ends of the car, so that's why it rotates so easily. You know, it's basically neutral from the beginning, middle, and end of the turn, whereas in the Giulia you feel a little more of that plow sensation at the entry of a corner, but in the middle, the car, in the middle of the corner, what I've experienced is the car takes a good set in the middle, meaning it's neither understeering nor oversteering, it just feels planted. And then when you get on the gas, because of the torque vectoring rear differential, it helps steer the car out of the corner. So it actually has a pretty nice neutral feel, so long as you get on the gas enough to take advantage of the that diff. So moving on to how it feels, you know, in the twisty stuff in the canyons. The Giulia will, well, it will never be as good as the Cayman is through a mountain road, but it definitely holds its own. The double wishbone front suspension definitely helps with its precision and the feel. Also, you know, the Giulia has so much power. I mean, it just hauls ass. The Cayman will never be as fast in a straight line as the Giulia, obviously. So any deficiencies in the corners, it makes up with, you know, the power and the precision of the steering. Now, as a daily, that's where the Giulia really wins out and shines compared to the Cayman. The Cayman is a pretty dedicated sports car, and the Giulia, I think, really captures at least 90% of the finesse and agility of the Cayman, but with, you know, 10 times the practicality and durability. All right, where to conclude this video, a quick update, I guess not an update, a quick status report of the car. I have over 42,000 miles on it now. I've owned it for a little less than 2 years. I got major service done a little bit ago, taking it back in a few days to check on a noise that I've never heard before. And yeah, that's it. Hope you guys enjoyed. Thanks for watching. Talk to you later.